I remember the stories my father would tell, tales of Mandalore the ultimate, of glorious conquest, of honor and battle and victory. The Mandalorians were feared across the galaxy once, now we are hunted like animals. The first time I saw my reflection in Beskar, I was 12 years old. My father placed the helmet over my head, and darkness gave way to the filtered glow of the visor. He told me this armor was my inheritance, my soul, my religion. It would protect my body as the creed would protect my honor. I believed him then. The galaxy has spent 20 years trying to prove him wrong. My name is Jaro Kell. I am Mandalorian, perhaps one of the last true Mandalorians. Our world burns, our people scatter, our way dies. This is not a story of redemption or triumph. This is a record of extinction. The cantina reeks of spice and unwashed bodies. Corellian whiskey burns down my throat, the only warmth in this cold corner of the outer rim. 5 years since the Empire declared us enemies of the state. 5 years living in the shadows, taking whatever work keeps fuel in my ship and ammunition in my weapons. Tonight, I have accepted a contract from a Rhodian merchant. Protection during a simple cargo transfer. I tell myself this is honorable work. I tell myself many things to sleep at night. The merchant speaks quickly, nervously. His green fingers tap against the datapad as he transfers the first half of my payment. The cargo arrives at Docking Bay 94 in 3 hours. All you need to do is ensure it reaches my warehouse safely. There may be competition. Competition. A gentle word for the violence to come. I nod once, the gesture made solemn by my helmet. The weight of Beskar feels heavier each day. I wonder if my ancestors felt it too, or if they were stronger than I am. Through grimy cantina windows, Imperial propaganda holos cast red shadows across the street. The Emperor's face watches from every angle, promising security and prosperity to those who conform. The message is always the same. Uniformity brings strength, resistance brings death. I finish my drink. The alcohol will be purged from my system before the job begins. Another indulgence I permit myself, another compromise of the old ways. My father would be ashamed. But my father is dead, his Beskar scattered by Imperial executioners. I stand to leave, and a familiar tension ripples through the room. Conversations falter, eyes track my movement. The Beskar announces my identity to everyone: Mandalorian, warrior, relic. Outside, acid rain falls through layers of neon light. The droplets hiss against my armor, seeking weaknesses that are not there. At least in this, the old ways protect me still. My hand rests on my blaster as I walk. There are too many shadows, too many corners where enemies might wait. The Empire pays well for Mandalorian armor, better still for Mandalorians who can lead them to others. The spaceport stretches before me, a maze of landing pads and cargo bays illuminated by sickly yellow lights. Smugglers and criminals move with purpose, each avoiding eye contact with Imperial patrols. I am not the only one living between legality and survival, but I am the most visible. The Beskar marks me. I could remove the armor, hide what I am, many have, but without it, I am nothing. The armor is the Mandalorian is the armor. Steam vents hiss from beneath metal walkways as I approach Docking Bay 94. My helmet sensors scan for threats, filtering the crowd into categories of risk. Old habits from a military that no longer exists. The Rhodian's ship should be arriving soon. I position myself against a support column, choosing a vantage point with clear sight lines and minimal exposure. The weight of my disruptor rifle presses against my back, comforting in its lethality. All citizens be advised. The announcement echoes through the spaceport. Curfew will commence in 4 hours. All citizens must present identification at security checkpoints. Compliance is mandatory. The Empire's voice follows me everywhere. Even here, at the edge of their control, they reach with mechanical fingers. I check my weapons again. The blaster at my hip, vibroblade in my gauntlet, whistling birds for emergencies. I am a walking arsenal, prepared for war. This is the way. Or it was. before the way led us to annihilation. A ship breaks through cloud cover above, navigation lights blinking against the night sky. The Rodian's transport. I straighten, muscles tensing beneath the armor. The job begins. For a moment, I imagine my ancestors watching from whatever warrior afterlife they believed in. Would they recognize what I have become? A sellsword, a mercenary, a shadow of Mandalorian glory. The ship settles onto the landing pad with a mechanical groan. Hydraulics hiss as the loading ramp extends. The Rodian emerges first, flanked by 2 Trandoshan guards. His eyes find me immediately, recognition flashing across alien features. He gestures, beckoning me forward. "The cargo is ready," he says, voice barely audible over the ambient noise of the spaceport. 6 crates. They must reach the warehouse intact. I nod again, that same solemn gesture. Words feel unnecessary, wasteful. My role is clear, my purpose defined by credits rather than creed. The Trandoshans begin unloading crates onto a hovercart. Whatever is inside, I do not ask. Curiosity died with my clan. We move through back alleys, avoiding main thoroughfares where Imperial patrols might stop us. The Rodian leads, consulting a datapad map with anxious glances. The Trandoshans push the hovercart, their scaled hands gripping blaster rifles with professional ease. I walk behind, watching our backs, scanning rooftops and windows for the glint of sniper scopes or the shadow of ambush. The warehouse district looms ahead, abandoned factories and storage facilities clustered together like rotting teeth. Most are empty now, victims of imperial taxation and corporate consolidation, perfect places for illegal transactions, perfect places for traps. "We are close," the Rodian whispers, pointing toward a structure 3 blocks ahead. The warehouse has a private entrance on the south side. I grunt acknowledgement, but unease prickles beneath my armor. The streets are too empty. The shadows too still. My helmet scanners detect no movement, but instinct speaks louder than technology. I slow my pace, falling further behind the group. My hand drops to my blaster. The ambush comes from above, figures dropping from rooftops, repulsor packs flaring blue against the night sky, 5 of them, armed and armored in mismatched plates. Not Imperial, pirates or rival smugglers. They land in a circle around us, weapons raised. "Hand over the cargo," one shouts, voice distorted through a cheap respirator. "No one needs to die for whatever garbage you're moving." The Rodian freezes. The Trandoshans raise their rifles, hissing challenges through sharp teeth. I remain still, assessing. 5 opponents, poor positions, overconfident. I could end this quickly, but violence draws attention. Attention draws Imperials. "This shipment is protected," I say, voice modulated through my helmet speaker. Walk away. Laughter answers me, hollow and mocking. "Amando," says the leader. "Didn't know they let your kind off the leash these days. Word is the Empire pays good credits for that fancy armor." My muscles tense. Not just rivals then, bounty hunters. I have seen their kind before, opportunists hoping to claim the price on Mandalorian heads. They see the Beskar and think of wealth. They should think of funerals. "Last chance," I warn, calculating angles, distances, the milliseconds between life and death. The leader gestures with his blaster. "Take off the helmet, Mando. Let's see if your face is worth as much as your metal." Time slows as it always does before violence. My ancestors called it the battle trance, a state where the mind sees all possibilities at once. The leader's finger tightening on the trigger, the positions of his companions, the Rodian cowering behind the hovercart, the distant wail of Imperial sirens. I move. My blaster clears its holster as I drop to one knee. The first shot takes the leader in the chest, his cheap armor buckling under the impact. The second finds the throat of the hunter to my right. I roll forward as return fire scorches the ground where I stood. The Trandoshans roar, their rifles spitting green energy into the night. One hunter falls, then another. The 5th tries to flee, Activating his repulsor pack, my grappling line catches his ankle mid-flight. He crashes down hard against Duracrete, helmet cracking on impact. I stand over him, blaster aimed at his exposed neck. "Who sent you?" I demand. Blood bubbles from beneath his mask. "Guild contract," he gasps. "Nothing personal. Just business. Just business." The same justification I give myself for the compromises I make each day. I should kill him. It would be cleaner, safer. But I am tired of death. Tired of becoming what the galaxy believes Mandalorians to be. "Tell the guild the next hunter dies," I say. "And step back." He scrambles away into the darkness, leaving a trail of blood on Duracrete. The Rodian emerges from hiding, eyes wide with a mixture of fear and gratitude. "You protected the cargo," he says. "As promised." I scan the area. The firefight will have been reported. Imperial patrols will sweep the district soon. We need to move, now. We reach the warehouse minutes later, the hovercart humming as we push it through a rusted service entrance. Inside, darkness is broken only by the pale glow of emergency lighting. The air smells of machine oil and dust. The Rodian hurries to a control panel, inputting security codes with trembling fingers. "Place the crates there." He instructs the Trandoshans, pointing to a reinforced storage room. "The buyer arrives tomorrow." I stand guard by the entrance, listening for approaching patrols. The exchange is nearly complete. Soon I will collect the remainder of my payment and disappear again into the vastness of the galaxy. Another job finished. Another day survived. The hollow victory of continued existence. The Rodian approaches with my payment, credit chip extended in green fingers. "You have my gratitude, Mandalorian." Few would have stood against those hunters. I take the chip without comment, slotting it into my vambrace. The payment will buy fuel, ammunition, perhaps repair the coolant leak in my ship's engine, enough to survive another week in a galaxy that wishes me extinct. "Our business is concluded," I say, turning to leave. "Wait." The Rodian steps closer, voice dropping to a whisper. "There are rumors of others like you, gathering beyond the outer rim. Rebuilding." My heart stutters beneath Beskar plate. "Others." The word echoes in my mind like a forgotten prayer. I have heard such rumors before. Followed them to abandoned outposts and empty coordinates. Hope is a luxury Mandalorians can no longer afford. "Rumors are worth less than air," I reply, but something in my tone must betray me. The Rodian tilts his head. "These came from a reliable source, a covert, hidden from Imperial eyes." A covert, the old word for our hidden communities. Places where clans gathered in secret to preserve our ways. I want to believe, need to believe, that I am not alone in this crusade against extinction, but belief has betrayed me too many times. Where? The question escapes before I can stop it. "Navarro. The lava fields provide cover from orbital scans. They survive there, preserving your ways." Navarro. A hellish world of fire and stone. Difficult to scan, difficult to patrol, a logical hiding place. Still, doubt gnaws at me. The Empire has planted such information before, using rumors of surviving Mandalorians to lure others into traps. "I will consider it," I say finally, non-committal, cautious. The Rodian nods, understanding my hesitation. "The stars grow dark for free people, Mandalorian. Even enemies should stand together against the night." Philosophical for a smuggler. I leave without further comment, slipping back into the labyrinth of alleyways. The night embraces me, another shadow among many. My ship waits in a private docking bay, paid for with the last of my previous earnings, a modified Commerk fighter, ancient by modern standards but reliable in ways newer vessels are not. Like Beskar, it is a remnant of a more glorious age. I navigate by instinct, avoiding main streets and Imperial checkpoints. Patrol ships cruise overhead, searchlights cutting through smoke and steam. The encounter with the bounty hunters has left me exposed. I must leave this world before morning. My thoughts return to the Rodian's words. Navarro, a covert. Others. The possibility tugs at something long buried beneath duty and survival. Longing. For 20 years I have walked alone, carrying the weight of a dying culture. The thought of others, of shared purpose beyond mere existence, is intoxicating and dangerous. Hope is the sharpest blade of all. It cuts deepest when it fails. The docking bay appears ahead, a nondescript structure identical to a dozen others on this street. I approach cautiously, scanning for surveillance or ambush. Nothing registers. Yet unease persists, a cold pressure between my shoulder blades. I have survived this long by trusting such instincts. I draw my blaster and input the access code. The door slides open with a pneumatic hiss, revealing darkness beyond. My helmet automatically adjusts, night vision painting the interior in shades of green. Nothing moves inside. My ship sits where I left it, boarding ramp extended. I step inside, blaster raised. The docking bay remains silent, empty save for maintenance droids powered down in their charging stations. Nothing disturbed, nothing changed. I exhale slowly, lowering my weapon. Paranoia is also how I have survived. The familiar confines of my ship welcome me back. I seal the hatch, performing security scans from the cockpit. No tracking devices, no tampering with critical systems. I begin pre-flight checks, muscle memory guiding my hands across controls worn smooth by years of use. As engines warm, my fingers hesitate over the navigation computer. Destination coordinates blink, awaiting input. I have planned to head deeper into the outer rim, where Imperial presence thins, and work for someone with my skills remains plentiful. Safe, predictable. Instead, I find myself entering new coordinates. Navarro. I tell myself it is merely to investigate, to confirm or deny the Rhodian's claim. Not hope. Never hope. Stars blur into streaks of light as the ship breaks atmosphere. Behind me, the planet diminishes, another temporary refuge abandoned. Ahead lies only uncertainty. I set course for the hyperspace jump point, running calculations for the journey to Navarro. The nav computer chimes readiness. My hand hovers over the hyperdrive initiator. Once committed, there is no turning back. I am choosing to follow a rumor, to risk security for the possibility of finding others who remember the way. I engage the hyperdrive. Stars stretch into infinity, and my ship hurls forward into the blue tunnel of hyperspace. I remove my helmet in the privacy of the cockpit, feeling recycled air against bare skin. My reflection stares back from darkened viewports, a face lined by years of combat and loss, eyes that have seen too much death, the face of a survivor when so many others perished. If there are others on Navarro, what will they see when they look upon me? A true Mandalorian, or a compromise walking in Beskar skin? The journey will take 16 hours. I secure my helmet beside the pilot's seat and recline, allowing myself a moment of vulnerability no one will witness. Sleep will not come easily. It never does. Instead, memories rise like ghosts from forgotten graves. I remember the purge, the Imperial attack, on our covert on Galidron. The screams of clanmates as incinerator troopers turned our sanctuary into an inferno. My father pushing me toward an escape tunnel, pressing our clan signet into my palm. His final words lost beneath the roar of flames and blaster fire. I remember the years that followed, moving from world to world, taking contracts that paid in credits or fuel or ammunition, watching the HoloNet for news of other survivors, finding empty ruins where Mandalorian strongholds once stood. The slow realization that our extinction had been carefully planned, systematically executed. I am not the warrior my ancestors were, not the Mandalorian my father raised me to be. Those ideals belonged to a different galaxy, one where honor meant something, where the creed offered protection rather than making us targets. I have compromised to survive, accepted contracts my forebears would condemn, hidden my armor when necessary, fled rather than fought. Yet still I wear the Beskar, still I speak the ancient oaths, still I follow the way, however imperfectly, because without it, there is nothing left of Jarrokel at all. The ship's alarm chimes, marking 4 hours until arrival at Navarro. I straighten in the pilot's seat, checking systems with automatic precision. Everything functions within normal parameters. Unlike its pilot, the ship remains reliable, untroubled by doubt or memory. I retrieve my helmet, settling it over my head with ceremonial slowness. The Beskar embraces me, sensors linking with my armor systems. Through the visor, the universe appears ordered, categorized, threats highlighted, and escape routes mapped. If only life beyond the helmet were so clear. A proximity alert flashes across my display. Something has dropped out of hyperspace nearby. I lean forward, scanning the readings. Imperial Light Cruiser. Variant used by Moff Gideon's remnant forces. Hunting. I disengage the hyperdrive immediately, dropping my ship back into real space with a bone-jarring shudder. Stars snap back into focus around me. The infinite blue of hyperspace replaced by the cold black of normal space. I kill all non-essential systems, reducing power signatures to minimum. The cruiser is still distant enough that they may not have detected me. Silent minutes pass as I drift, waiting. The cruiser continues on its previous vector, sensors sweeping vast arcs of space. Hunting, but not for me specifically. Not yet. When the Imperial vessel vanishes into hyperspace again, I exhale slowly. Another close encounter. Another reminder that the galaxy grows smaller for my kind each day. I power systems back online but hesitate before re-engaging the hyperdrive. The Imperial presence near Navarro cannot be coincidence. If there truly is a covert there, they are being hunted. I should turn away. Find safer territory. This is how I have survived when others did not. Caution. Isolation. Selfishness. My hand hovers over the navicomputer. One command would set me on a different course. Away from danger. Away from potential trap or tragedy. Away from others like myself. I engage the hyperdrive. The stars stretch again. I have come too far to turn back now. If there are Mandalorians on Navarro, they deserve warning at minimum. And if it is a trap, better to spring it knowingly than live forever looking over my shoulder. The remainder of the journey passes in uneasy vigilance. I clean my weapons, check my armor, prepare for whatever awaits. When the ship finally reverts to real space, Navarro fills the viewport. A scorched sphere of black stone and red magma, insignificant except for a small Imperial mining operation near the equator. Precisely the sort of forgotten world where survivors might hide. I approach from the night side, running passive scans only. The Imperial facility appears dormant, minimal staff monitoring automated equipment. A single orbital platform serves as both defense and communications relay. Modest, routine, nothing to suggest a hunt for Mandalorians. Perhaps the Rhodians' information was accurate, or perhaps the trap is better concealed than most. I bring my ship down through turbulent atmosphere, navigating toward a stretch of lava fields far from the Imperial outpost. Scanners detect a settlement several kilometers away, small but active. The most logical location for a covert, close enough to monitor Imperial activity but hidden by geological interference. Landing on a flat shelf of obsidian, I power down all systems except essential life support. The reddish glow of distant lava flows illuminates the cockpit. Heat radiates through the hull despite environmental controls. Navarro welcomes no one. I arm myself methodically. Blaster charged. Whistling birds loaded, vibroblade honed, Beskar spear secured across my back. I will approach the settlement on foot, observing before revealing myself. Caution has kept me alive this long. The air outside sears my lungs even through the helmet's filtration. Sulfur and ash create a noxious atmosphere barely suitable for human habitation. The ground crunches beneath my boots, volcanic glass and pumice shifting with each step. In the distance, lava bubbles from fissures, casting hellish light across the landscape. No wonder the Empire maintains only a token presence here. I move from shadow to shadow, using natural formations for cover. The settlement grows visible ahead, structures built from local stone and salvaged metal, no imperial architecture, no corporate logos, just pragmatic construction designed to withstand the harsh environment. Promising. My helmet sensors detect movement on the settlement perimeter, guards patrolling with disciplined precision. Their heat signatures suggest armor thicker than standard mercenary gear. My pulse quickens despite myself. I settle behind a rocky outcrop, observing. The settlement follows familiar patterns, defensible positions, multiple escape routes, hidden weapon emplacements. Not imperial design, not typical civilian layout. This is a fortress disguised as a mining town. A glint of metal catches my eye as a guard turns. The distinctive shape of a Mandalorian helmet. Not Beskar, some lesser alloy, but the silhouette is unmistakable. My hands tighten on my weapon. After 20 years I have found others. Unless it is a trap. Imperials have used our armor before, desecrating our dead to lure survivors. I must be certain. I wait until guard patterns reveal a gap, then move closer, using steam vents and rock formations for concealment. Close enough now to see details. The guards wear armor pieced together from various sources, but the distinctive T-visors mark them as Mandalorian. They move with the practiced efficiency of warriors trained in our ways. One guard separates from the others, moving to check a security scanner. I seize the opportunity, approaching from his blind side. Before he can react, I have him pinned against stone, my vibroblade at his throat where armor joins helmet. Speak the words, I demand, voice low. If you are truly Mandalorian. He stiffens but does not struggle. A true warrior knows when resistance means death. Ni kartel gai saad. He responds, the ancient adoption vow. I know your name as my child. No imperial spy would know those words. I release him, stepping back, vibroblade still ready. He turns slowly, hands visible. His helmet is scratched and dented, painted with clan markings I do not recognize. A foundling from one of the distant sects, perhaps. He studies me in return, posture shifting from caution to recognition. Beskar, he says, voice filled with reverence. True Beskar. We thought none remained who wore the ancient armor. Few do, I confirm. I seek the covert. I was told others gather here. He hesitates only briefly. Follow. But surrender your weapons first. I almost laugh. No Mandalorian surrenders his weapons. These are difficult times, he replies. Trust comes harder than death. A compromise then, I remove. My blaster and spear, keeping the hidden weapons integrated into my armor. He accepts this with a nod, understanding the concession for what it island. Neither of us fully trusts the other. This, too, is the way now. He leads me through the settlement perimeter, past suspicious guards and curious onlookers. Children watch from doorways, some wearing training helmets. Foundlings. My throat tightens at the sight. New generations, hope for continuation. The center of the settlement houses a circular structure built into the stone itself. A forge. The heart of any Mandalorian community. He gestures for me to enter alone. Heat blasts me as I step through the doorway. A massive forge glows at the center of the room, fed by Navarro's natural volcanic activity. A figure stands before it, back turned, hammer striking molten metal with rhythmic precision. The armorer. Leader of this covert. I wait in silence, observing the ritual of creation. The armorer continues working, seemingly oblivious to my presence. Only when the metal cools in a bath of hissing liquid does she acknowledge me. A visitor wearing Beskar, she says, voice modulated through a helmet decorated with horns. Ancient design, symbolic of leadership among the elder clans. Few remain who carry the old metal. Few remain at all, I respond. She approaches, circling me with measured steps. Her gloved hand reaches out, touching my pauldron with reverence. This is ancestral Beskar, passed through generations. My father's and his father's before him. Yet you wear no clan signet, she observes. The absence weighs heavier than the armor itself. My clan was purged on Galedron. I alone survived. She nods once, understanding all that remains unsaid. Loss, guilt, the burden of memory. Why do you seek us? She asks, returning to her position by the forge. To confirm you exist, I answer honestly. To know I am not the last. And now that you know, the question hangs between us, complicated by 20 years of solitary survival. What do I want from these people? Safety, purpose, belonging, all seem foreign concepts after so long alone. The Empire hunts our kind, I say instead. I encountered one of their cruisers on my approach. They search for something in this sector. The armorer remains motionless for a long moment. They search for all free people. Mandalorians are simply more visible than most. She turns, firelight glinting off her helmet. You have walked alone too long. The way is not meant for solitary warriors. The way led to our destruction, I reply, bitterness seeping through discipline. Our refusal to adapt, to hide, to compromise. You speak of compromise while wearing Beskar. Her tone carries no judgment, only curiosity. The armor is our strength and our vulnerability. You chose to keep it when others abandoned our ways. I have no answer that does not contradict itself. I have compromised countless tenets while clinging desperately to others. Hypocrisy dressed in ancestral metal. You may stay or go as you choose, she continues, but know this. We rebuild here. Not just armor or weapons, but our culture. What emerges will not be what was destroyed. It cannot be. Evolution is survival. Evolution. The word sits uncomfortably in my mind. Mandalorians have always respected strength, adapted to defeat, incorporated the useful from conquered peoples. Yet something in me resists the concept of changing the way itself. Rest, she says, returning to her work. Tomorrow we will speak again. Dismissed, I follow a young foundling who materializes at the door. He leads me to sparse quarters carved from volcanic rock. A sleeping pallet, water basin, weapon rack, identical to chambers in coverts I knew before the purge. Some traditions remain unchanged. Alone, I remove my helmet, feeling the warm air against my face. The walls of volcanic rock provide privacy that protocols demand. This simple act, removing the helmet in isolation, connects me to generations past. To the father who first placed Beskar on my shoulders, to ancestors whose names are remembered only in battle songs. I sleep fitfully, dreams filled with burning coverts and imperial hunters. The sound of Beskar being torn from corpses, the armorer's words echoing, "Evolution is survival. What does it mean to adapt while preserving what matters? Where is the line between compromise and surrender?" Morning comes, marked only by chronometers in this underground chamber. I don my helmet before emerging. The settlement bustles with activity, Mandalorians training foundlings in combat forms, others repairing armor or crafting weapons, a functioning community hidden from imperial eyes. I observe from a distance, separate yet connected by shared heritage. Children practice with training weapons, their movements unpolished but enthusiastic. Elders correct stances with patient hands. The sight stirs something long dormant within me, memory, belonging. The armorer finds me watching a training session. "You judge our methods," she observes. "They train in the open. Imperial scanners could detect such activity. The lava fields disrupt most scanning technology. We have arrangements with local officials and contingency plans." Arrangements, another word for compromise. I wonder what price this covert pays for their sanctuary. "You disapprove," she says, reading my silence. "I have survived by trusting no one. And what has solitude earned you, besides continued breath? Is mere existence our goal now? Our ancestors would not recognize such a limited ambition." The rebuke lands with precision. What have I accomplished beyond personal survival? What legacy will I leave? When my Beskar is recovered from my corpse, What will remain of Jaro Kell? Join the training, she suggests. The foundlings would benefit from your experience. I hesitate, then move toward the practice area. Young ones look up as I approach, whispering at the sight of true Beskar. Their instructor, a warrior missing one arm, nods in recognition. The Wanderer joins us, he announces. Show proper respect. The foundlings straighten, offering the traditional salute. I return it automatically, muscle memory from childhood lessons. Perhaps you would demonstrate proper spear technique, the instructor suggests. These younglings have seen little of traditional weapons. I retrieve my Beskar spear, its weight familiar in my hands. The children gather around, eyes wide behind training helmets. I move through combat forms slowly, explaining each stance, each strike. Muscles loosen as ancient patterns reassert themselves. The spear becomes an extension of body, of will. A girl, no more than 10 years old, steps forward. May I try, sir? I pause, surprised by the request and the formality. When did I become sir to anyone? I offer the spear, adjusting it for her smaller frame. The spear is balanced, I explain, an extension of your reach, your strength. Hold it here, where the weight centers. She grips the weapon with determined hands. Her stance is awkward but promising. I correct her positioning with careful touches. Other foundlings watch intently, waiting their turns. Hours pass in training. I demonstrate techniques with various weapons. The children absorb knowledge with hungry minds, asking questions I had forgotten how to answer. Why this grip? Why this stance? Questions that require remembering principles, not just movements. By afternoon, sweat soaks my underarmor despite environmental controls. The foundlings disperse to other duties, leaving me with their one-armed instructor. You teach well, he says. The old forms have not been seen here in many cycles. Your students learn quickly. He nods, pride evident despite his helmet. They must. The galaxy offers no mercy to slow learners. How many? I ask. How many Mandalorians gather here? 42 adults, 27 foundlings, some from old clans, most orphaned by Imperial expansion. We find them, train them, give them the creed. 69 souls carrying Mandalorian tradition, more than I dared hope existed in the entire galaxy. Yet far fewer than once populated a single clan stronghold. And others? Are there other coverts? He shrugs, the gesture made asymmetrical by his missing arm. Rumors, whispers, nothing confirmed. Communication between coverts died with the purge. Safer that way. Isolation as protection. The same strategy I have employed for 20 years. Effective for survival. Disastrous for continuation. The Empire still hunts, I warn him. I encountered a cruiser before arriving. They always hunt, he replies with fatalistic calm. When they come, we will be ready. Or we will not, this is the way. But is it? Was fatalistic acceptance of destruction ever our way? Mandalorians were conquerors once. Adapters. Survivors who incorporated strength wherever they found it. When did we become martyrs awaiting execution? Evening approaches, marked by the dimming of artificial lights within the settlement. The armorer summons me to the forge again. This time, others gather as well. Leaders of the covert, I assume. Warriors bearing the marks of survival, missing limbs, scarred armor, clan symbols painted over with the unified mythosaur skull. Individuals subsumed into collective identity. You have observed us for one day, the armorer begins. You have trained our foundlings, spoken with our warriors. What do you see, Jaro Kell of Clan Awad? I had not told her my clan name. Someone recognized my armor's subtle markings. The thought that my clan is remembered sends unexpected warmth through my chest. I see Mandalorians adapting, I answer carefully. Preserving what can be preserved, changing what must change. And is this not the way, she challenges, to take what is strong, discard what is weak. Our ancestors conquered worlds, absorbed cultures, adopted children of enemies. Change is our constant, only the core remains, fixed. This is the way, the assembled warriors intone. I remain silent. Their words echo truths I have denied in my isolation. Mandalorians have always evolved. Our strength came from adaptation, not rigid dogma. Yet something feels lost in this underground existence, something beyond tradition. You still doubt, the armorer observes. I doubt everything. I admit, 20 years alone teaches skepticism above all else. Yet you came here, she counters. Hope still lives within you, however deeply buried. Hope, the most dangerous emotion of all. I have survived by abandoning it, by expecting betrayal and preparing for failure. Hope is a luxury for those with futures. Do Mandalorians still have one? Your arrival presents us with opportunity and risk, the armorer continues. Another warrior, another carrier of tradition, but also another target for our enemies. I did not come to stay. I reply quickly, too quickly. The words ring hollow even to my own ears. One of the gathered leaders steps forward, armor painted with fading red symbols of Clan Eldar. We have received intelligence, she says. Imperial forces gather for a strike against settlements in this sector. They seek something. Or someone. My pulse quickens. The cruiser I encountered was no coincidence. How reliable is this information? I ask. Verified through 3 sources, she answers. The Imperial remnant deploys forces normally reserved for high-value targets. Their communications mention Mandalorian acquisition. Acquisition, the clinical Imperial term for hunt and capture, or hunt and kill. You believe they know of this covert, I state, understanding dawning cold and clear. The armorer nods once. We have survived by remaining invisible. Something has changed. They search with purpose now. When? I ask, soldiers' instincts taking control. 3 standard days, according to communication intercepts. 3 days. Barely enough time to evacuate the children, let alone the entire Americas. Settlement. I think of the training grounds, the forge, the homes carved from volcanic stone. Years of work to build this sanctuary, all to be abandoned. You will scatter, I say. Separate into smaller groups, harder to track. And where would we go? Asks the one-armed instructor. The galaxy shrinks for our kind each day. The outer rim offers fewer hiding places than before. Beyond lies unknown space and its dangers. He speaks truth. The Empire's expansion pushes refugees further from the galactic core. Competition for safe havens grows fierce. Planets once beyond Imperial notice now host garrisons and surveillance. We have decided on a different course, the armorer announces. We will not run. Murmurs of agreement rise from the gathered warriors. I look from face to face, reading determination in rigid postures and clenched fists. They have chosen to stand, to fight, perhaps to die. This is madness, I say. Imperial forces will overwhelm you through numbers alone. The foundlings will be captured. The way will end here. The foundlings will be evacuated, she corrects. With a small contingent of guardians, the rest will remain to ensure their escape. To show the Empire that Mandalorians do not disappear quietly. A last stand, glorious death instead of continued survival. The ancient way of warriors facing unbeatable odds. It stirs something primal within me, even as logic rejects it. Suicide accomplishes nothing, I argue. Live to fight another day, rebuild elsewhere. Continue, the red-armored warrior laughs bitterly. Continue what? Running? Hiding? For how many more generations? The Empire will never stop hunting us. Our very existence offends their order. Then we change, I hear myself say. We adapt, we evolve beyond what they hunt. Silence falls. The armorer studies me through her impassive visor. Explain, she commands. Words come unbidden, thoughts long suppressed rising to consciousness. The Beskar marks us, makes us targets. We cling to it as identity when it has become our prison. Our ancestors wore it as protection against enemies. Now it draws enemies to us. Gasps and mutters of disapproval ripple through the gathering. To suggest abandoning Beskar approach is blasphemy, yet no one interrupts. The Empire hunts symbols as much as people, I continue. They fear what Mandalorians represent more than our actual threat to their power. If we shed the symbols temporarily, become invisible not through hiding but through transformation, we gain time. Time to grow stronger, to prepare, to truly rebuild. You suggest abandoning the way, the one-armed instructor accuses. I suggest preserving the essence of the way while discarding what threatens our survival. Our ancestors took strength from conquered peoples, adapted their technologies and tactics. They changed continuously. Only recently did we become rigid, fixed on tradition over survival. The armorer raises her hand, silencing growing objections. There is precedent in our history, she acknowledges. During the Night of 1,000 Tears, survivors removed their armor, blended with refugees, rebuilt in secret over generations. Only to be hunted again, the red-armored warrior counters. The cycle repeats because we allow it. Because we hide instead of striking back. Our ancestors would not recognize what we have become. Our ancestors would recognize survival. I say, they would understand adaptation. The armor is not what makes us Mandalorian. This is heresy, someone mutters. This is evolution, I respond. As the armorer herself said, what matters more, the symbol or what it represents, the Beskar or the people who carry its legacy? Debate erupts, warriors arguing tradition against necessity, ancient dogma against survival. I stand apart, wondering at my own words. When did the bitter survivor become an advocate for change? Perhaps, seeing this covert, these children training in our ways, awakened something long dormant. The desire for continuation beyond myself. The armorer strikes her hammer against the forge, bringing instant silence. Enough, she commands. We will consider all options. But first, we must survive the immediate threat. Preparations for evacuation begin now. Warriors, to your stations. The gathering disperses, each moving with purpose toward assigned duties. I remain, uncertain of my place in this orchestrated defense. The armorer approaches, her mask revealing nothing of her thoughts. You speak dangerous ideas, she says. Yet they echo ancient wisdom. Our people have reinvented themselves many times throughout history. The question is whether enough remains after such reinvention to call it Mandalorian. What remains is what matters, I reply. Honor, strength, community, the raising of foundlings, the keeping of oaths. The Beskar is a shell, not the spirit. She nods slowly. Perhaps, but ideas are easier spoken than implemented. For now, we face immediate danger. Will you stand with us, Jaro Kell of Clan Awad? Or will you return to your solitary survival? The question strikes deeper than she knows. 20 years I have walked alone, taking pride in my continued existence while mourning all that was lost. What has it earned me beyond breath? What legacy will I leave? A suit of empty armor recovered from my corpse by Imperial troops? I will help evacuate the foundlings, I decide. My ship can transport 8, perhaps 10 with minimal provisions. This is the way, she responds, approval warming her modulated voice. No, I correct her. This is a new way, one that prioritizes continuation over glorious end. She considers this, then inclines her head slightly. We shall see which way prevails. For now, we prepare. The next 2 days pass in frantic activity. The covert mobilizes with disciplined efficiency, preparing for both evacuation and defense. Children are gathered, essential supplies packed, escape routes plotted, warriors check weapons, reinforce defensive positions, plant explosives at strategic points. The forge burns continuously as the armorer works without rest, repairing armor and creating weapons from Navarro's volcanic metals. I assist where needed, my experience with Imperial tactics proving valuable in planning defensive measures. My ship is prepared for emergency evacuation, loaded with supplies and essential cultural artifacts. The youngest foundlings are assigned to my transport, along with an elder warrior too injured for combat. The future and the past preserved while the present makes its stand. On the evening before the expected Imperial arrival, I stand at the settlement perimeter, watching Navarro's volcanic landscape shimmer with heat. The constant glow of lava flows illuminates sulphurous clouds, creating an apocalyptic backdrop appropriate for what may come. The end of another Mandalorian sanctuary. Perhaps the end of Mandalorians as a distinct people. Footsteps approach from behind. The armorer joins me at the observation point, her ceremonial armor gleaming in the reddish light. "The children are ready," she says. "They understand their duty to survive, to remember, to rebuild." "They should not bear such burdens," I reply. "Children deserve childhood, even Mandalorian children. Harsh times create harsh necessities. This is not the first generation of our young to carry the weight of continuation." She turns to face me directly. "If we fall tomorrow, you must ensure they reach safety. That they learn our ways, modified as necessary for survival. The covert on Arvala 7 may still exist. Seek it first. Another covert, another rumor of survivors. The cycle continues. And if it does not exist, then you will create one," she says simply. "You speak of evolution. Perhaps you are meant to guide it." The responsibility settles on my shoulders, heavier than Beskar. I have barely maintained my own existence for 20 years. Now she entrusts me with the future of our culture. The absurdity almost makes me laugh. I am not worthy of such trust, I tell her honestly. Worthiness is determined by actions, not feelings. You came here when staying away was safer. You speak hard truths when silence would be easier. These are not the actions of an unworthy man. Before I can respond, alarms sound throughout the settlement. Perimeter sensors triggered. We exchange a glance, then move quickly toward the command center, a repurposed mining office near the settlement heart. Inside, warriors gather around projection displays showing orbital activity. An Imperial light cruiser has emerged from hyperspace earlier than expected. Smaller craft deploy from its hangar, descent trajectories aimed directly at our location. They know exactly where we are, the red-armored warrior says grimly. No search pattern, direct approach. Someone has betrayed the covert's location. The thought sits cold in my stomach. Trust remains a luxury Mandalorians cannot afford. Evacuation begins now. The armorer orders. Defense teams to positions. Communications blackout effective immediately. Warriors disperse with practiced discipline. No panic, no wasted motion. Children are gathered in the central chamber, faces solemn behind training masks. They have rehearsed this scenario. They know many of the adults they see now will not survive the day. I move toward my ship, guiding assigned foundlings with gentle urgency. The youngest cannot be more than 4 years old, her training helmet too large for her small head. She walks with determined steps, tiny hand gripping my finger with surprising strength. The future of Mandalore, reduced to a handful of orphaned children fleeing destruction. The injured elder warrior waits by my ship, leaning heavily on a staff. His armor bears the marks of countless battles, repair work visible across every plate. He nods as I approach with the children. "A warrior's final duty," he says, "to ensure the next generation survives to fight another day." The children board silently, finding assigned positions within the cramped cargo hold. No tears, no complaints. They have been trained well, perhaps too well. I wonder if they understand what is happening. If they comprehend that their home vanishes behind them, that many they know will die today. The elder warrior secures the youngest child in a makeshift restraint system. "When you reach Arvala 7, he tells me quietly, "speak the words, 'Foundlings are the future.' They will know I sent you." I nod, programming coordinates into the navigation computer. Engines warm, systems report ready status. Through the viewport, I see other ships preparing for departure. 5 vessels in total, each carrying children and cultural artifacts to different destinations. Dispersal increases chances that some will survive. Explosions shake the ground as the first Imperial landing craft touch down at the settlement perimeter. Defense teams engage, blaster fire illuminating the pre-dawn darkness. The evacuation window narrows with each passing minute. Launch now. The armorer's voice commands through the communication system, "May honor guide your path." I engage thrusters, feeling the familiar vibration as my ship lifts from Navarro's surface. Other evacuation vessels rise alongside mine, each taking a different vector to confuse pursuit. Below, the battle intensifies. Imperial troops push forward against determined Mandalorian defenders. Explosives detonate, collapsing prepared choke points. Warriors fall. Stormtroopers fall in greater numbers, but their reinforcements seem endless. My ship breaks atmosphere, accelerating toward the jump point. Scanners detect Imperial TIE fighters launching from the cruiser, moving to intercept evacuation vessels. I push engines beyond safety parameters, watching heat levels rise into critical ranges. Speed is our only advantage. The TIEs split formation, 2 peeling off to pursue my ship. Faster and more maneuverable, they will overtake us before we reach the jump point. I activate defensive systems, routing power from life support to shields. The children will endure cold and thin air for the minutes required to escape. Hold tight. I call to my passengers. Evasive maneuvers. I drop the ship into a spinning dive, throwing off the TIE's targeting systems momentarily. Navarro's gravity well aids the maneuver, pulling us into a slingshot trajectory that burns fuel but gains precious distance. The TIEs adjust, closing again with mechanical precision. Green energy bolts flash past the viewport, uncomfortably close. Return fire is not an option. My ship's weapons systems were removed years ago to make room for cargo. Another compromise for survival that now threatens it. I weave through debris from ancient mining operations, using solid objects as temporary shields. A proximity alarm blares. A third TIE has joined the pursuit, approaching from the port side. They coordinate their attack, forcing me toward the cruiser's tractor beam range. Classic Imperial interdiction tactics. We're not going to make the jump point. The elder warrior states calmly from the co-pilot's seat. They have us bracketed. He's right. The math is simple and merciless. Our slower ship cannot outrun 3 TIEs and reach the jump point before capture. Decision crystallizes with cold clarity. There is only one path that ensures the children reach safety. Take the controls, I tell him, rising from the pilot's seat. He looks up, understanding immediately. This is not necessary. We die together if needed. The children need guidance to reach Arvala 7. You know the covert there. I do not. I check my weapons with automatic precision. This is the way. For once, the words feel true. Not a hollow mantra, but a genuine expression of purpose. The elder warrior does not argue further, taking the pilot's position with grim efficiency. He understands sacrifice. All Mandalorians do. I move to the airlock, securing my helmet seals. The plan forms, with tactical simplicity. The pursuing TIEs follow standard Imperial formation, maintaining minimum safe distance between craft. If that formation is disrupted, if one TIE is disabled at the correct moment, a brief window for hyperspace jump will open. When the third TIE goes dark, punch the hyperdrive. I instruct, don't wait for confirmation. He nods once, focus already on the controls. The children watch from the cargo hold, silent witnesses to decisions they cannot fully comprehend. The youngest girl steps forward, tiny hand extended toward me. Will you come back? She asks, voice small but steady through her training helmet. The question strikes deeper than any Imperial weapon could. I kneel to her level, placing my hand on her shoulder. The armor will return. I tell her, one way or another, this is the way. She nods solemnly. This is the way. I enter the airlock, checking the jetpack fuel levels one final time. Minimal, but sufficient for the task. The outer door opens to the void, stars shining with cold indifference. Below, Navarro burns as Imperial forces overwhelm the settlement defenses. Another Mandalorian sanctuary reduced to memory. I launch from the airlock, jetpack flaring against vacuum. The nearest TIE fighter adjusts course slightly, sensors detecting unexpected movement but not identifying it as a threat. They hunt ships, not individual Mandalorians in space. Their mistake: my trajectory intersects with the third TIE, the one closing from port side. Magnetic boots connect with its hull, anchoring me against the craft's acceleration. The pilot remains unaware of my presence, focused on pursuit. I move across the curved surface toward the cockpit viewport, each step carefully measured in the frictionless environment. Reaching the transperisteel viewport, I activate my wrist-mounted drill, a tool normally used for emergency repairs. The reinforced bit grinds against the TIE's cockpit material, creating a spreading network of cracks. Atmosphere vents explosively as the integrity fails, the pilot's brief scream cut short by vacuum. The fighter tumbles out of formation, control lost as its pilot suffocates. I push away, jetpack guiding me clear of the dying craft. The remaining TIEs break pursuit momentarily, pilots trying to understand what happened to their wingmen. In that hesitation, my ship vanishes into hyperspace, a brief flare of blue light marking its escape. Mission accomplished. The foundlings will reach safety. The future of Mandalore continues, however tenuous. All that remains is my own fate. The jetpack sputters, fuel depleted by the exertion. I drift in vacuum, watching the Imperial cruiser grow larger in my visor display. They will detect me soon. Capture or kill, either outcome ends the same for Mandalorians in Imperial hands. As atmosphere bleeds from my suit through micro-fractures caused by vacuum exposure, I watch Navarro diminish below. The settlement burns, bright even from orbit. The defenders have triggered their final explosives, denying the Imperials whatever they sought. A glorious end, traditional in its defiance. Yet something has escaped, something continues. Children carrying memory and tradition, guided by survivors who understand adaptation. Perhaps they will find safety on Arvala 7. Perhaps they will create a new sanctuary elsewhere. Perhaps Mandalorians will emerge from this crucible changed but intact, as they have from catastrophes throughout their history. My oxygen levels drop into critical range. Stars blur as hypoxia affects my vision. In these final moments, clarity arrives with surprising peace. I have lived as Mandalorian. I will die as Mandalorian. But Mandalore itself, the idea, the culture, the way, continues beyond individual existence. This is the truth my father tried to teach me when he pushed me toward the escape tunnel on Galidran. The armor returns to the earth, but the creed lives in those who carry it forward. Evolution is not betrayal, but fulfillment of our most basic tenet, survival through strength. And sometimes, strength means change. As consciousness fades, I see Imperial recovery craft approaching, mechanical arms extending to retrieve my drifting form. They want the Beskar, of course, the precious metal that has made us targets. They do not understand that Mandalorians are more than armor, more than metal and tradition. We are idea and adaptation, creed and evolution. Blackness claims my vision as the recovery craft envelops me. My final thought is not of defeat but of continuation. Somewhere, children wearing training helmets prepare for a future I will not see. They carry fragments of Mandalore with them, pieces they will reassemble into something new but recognizable, something that preserves the core while discarding the shell. This is the way, the new way, the only way that matters. Aboard an Imperial cruiser, technicians examine the recovered Mandalorian armor. Pure Beskar, worth a fortune in Imperial credits. The warrior inside did not survive retrieval, oxygen deprivation claiming him before pressurization completed. Another extinct specimen, another set of armor for the collection. Prepare it for transport to Moff Gideon's facility. The commander orders. He collects these relics. The technicians carefully remove the armor from the lifeless form beneath. Helmet, cuirass, pauldrons, vambraces, each piece catalogued with imperial efficiency. The body, worthless without its coveting, will be discarded into space. Standard procedure for enemy combatants without intelligence value. None notice the small clan signet hidden beneath the right pauldron. None recognize the significance of the mythosaur skull etched into the metal, symbols meaningless to those who see only material value. The Empire believes it collects trophies from a dying culture. They do not understand what they hold. Beskar remembers. The metal carries history in its molecular structure, stories of forging and reforging through generations. And somewhere beyond Imperial reach, children who never wore true Beskar carry something more valuable: the knowledge of what it represents. The foundlings reach Arvala 7, finding shelter in yet another hidden covert. They bring stories of Navarro, of warriors who stood against impossible odds, of one Mandalorian who spoke of evolution while demonstrating the oldest virtue, sacrifice for continuation. Their training continues under new guardians. They learn to hide when necessary, to fight when possible. They adapt. Years pass. The Empire falls. New threats emerge. Through it all, the scattered children of Mandalore survive. They remember the way while finding new paths through a changing galaxy. Some wear Beskar reclaimed from Imperial vaults. Others use lighter alloys, prioritizing stealth over tradition. Their fighting styles incorporate techniques from a dozen worlds. Their communities exist in the shadows of greater powers. But they continue, they evolve, they remain Mandalorian in the ways that matter. This is the way. Not a single path but many, converging toward a shared future. Not rigid dogma but adaptive creed. Not glorious death but determined survival. The way of a people who refuse extinction, who rebuild from ashes time and again. In the endless night between stars, Beskar endures, and with it, so do we.